Hello again, it's one of these things. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous day here in the Yorkshire Dales, and we're going to approach this a little bit different. By the way, thank you for putting up with last week. It was a bit of an odd one, but we got through it, and producer Phil managed to edit it so I didn't sound too abysmal. We're approaching things differently now. Producer Phil is going to be asking me the questions. Before I was picking the questions myself and thinking a bit about them, whereas I prefer to do things completely off the cuff, same as I do music. So producer Phil is asking the questions, and his first question is from Wes from Belfast. Hello, Wes. Wes is an old friend of ours. My question would be, it's been over 25 years since the court case of Metallica versus Napster. What are your thoughts initially on where Lars stood on this, and 25 years later, your thoughts now? Do you feel like Lars was making a stand for smaller bands, losing out on record sales? I didn't have any thoughts at the time. I didn't care. But I don't think anyone really cared because it was such a new thing. The whole streaming thing. It was like a lot of people, including Lars, got it not wrong, because it was so new, they just didn't see the relevance of it. And now you look back and think, well, with Spotify, so I still know people who don't like Spotify, and it's just the way that things go. And all you can do in life is embrace change or fight against it. And you can't do anything about change itself. So fighting against it is just a waste of your time, and it doesn't have any effect on anything whatsoever. And I'm sure Lars would agree now that, seeing the popularity of Spotify, which does help smaller bands. Now that I've discovered tons of small bands because I'll get on Spotify to listen to something. I'll listen to albums once, and then if I like it, I buy it. And I encourage you very strongly, sternly, to buy albums that you like, but test them out on Spotify first, because a lot of the times I'll get recommended an album, I'll go and listen to it, and it's a pile of shite with the one good song that I heard that made me want to listen to the album. So that used to fuck me up when I used to spend a fortune on record or CDs, as it was, when I was listening, buying everything that I wanted to hear. And I must have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on CDs that I never even made it all the way through. So Spotify gives you that, but more importantly, it puts you in touch with other bands that I never ever would have heard of, and in turn I get to put that on Twitter, and that sells records and t-shirts for the band. And a lot of bands thank me for helping sell some records for them that they wouldn't have done normally. So yeah, there's a lot of plus points in Spotify, apart from the fact that bands don't make any money directly from Spotify. They make a lot of interest and hopefully money indirectly. So yeah, I think Napster was genius, because it was ushering in a new age, a bit like AI is doing now. And people are going, oh, well, AI can't compete with artists. No, that's not what it's going to do. It's not meant to compete with artists. It hasn't got an artistic bent. It only gets programmed by people who aren't artists. And artists aren't going to do the job because they don't want the job taken away. So the fact that it's a faceless, personalityless thing is going to go in its favour, and it's not going to affect artists. And I don't think Spotify is really affecting anything other than bands who don't make very good albums and still want to sell them. But if you're really good, Spotify is going to do you a lot of good. We were just talking about this, and I never look at Wildheart stuff online, ever. I don't know what's on the Wikipedia page, and I've never looked at the Spotify page until the other day. And the song that's listened to the most is I Want to Go Where the People Go, which has been around since the fucking 90s. It's been on more compilation albums than anything else we've done. And the second one has got half of the listens of the big song, and it's Troubadour Moon, which is 2 months old. You're telling me that Spotify is not doing a lot of good? YouTube is driving a lot of traffic to Spotify, vice versa. It's all doing a lot of good. So yeah, you can't really hate the messenger because you're the message. And don't get me started on AI, because I've been thinking a lot about what AI is. Okay, I'll just go on for a little bit about what I think AI is going to do. I'll take my glasses off for this. I think AI is the physical evolution of mankind. And I think that AI is going to obviously overtake what it's been told to do and become something else. I think one of the things it's going to do is splice the organic with the digital, and a new species of human beings going to be born. It's going to be in its infancy for a long time and then is not going to be. And I think that is the evolution of the physical. And I think that's where human beings do go. But I think AI is going to develop a way of backtracking, and stick with me, backtracking to when it invents these things, itself. So it's going to have the possibility of time travel in the future. And a lot of the things that are informing AI is AI from the future, which is happening now. It's a big one, but it makes perfect sense about, aliens and stuff like that. Why they would be an interest. What are they? Well, they're probably based on the progression and evolution of AI spliced with the organic, because I think we've reached the pinnacle of what we can do physically. It needs to go somewhere else. But yeah, that's what I'm meditating on at the moment. That's what I think AI is going to do. And right now, it's kind of the Napster stage where it's just like, what, they're going to take our jobs. There are no jobs for humans anymore, unless you're an artist or you do something specific that you've trained to do to your ability, in which case, yeah, you're safe. But I think generally, this species is on the way out. Whether the human being is going to be seen as a mistake and it didn't work and AI is going to take over and effectively wipe the history cycle from this point. And so history, as far as evolution is going to be concerned, is going to start with the advent of AI starting to think for itself. And this level of human being is going to be seen in 100 years like cavemen are seen. That's my prediction for the future. Right, here we go. This question is put up on this funny little screen that I've got here by producer Phil. Is from Russell Todd of Cardiff. And he says, hey fella, well done on the podcast. I'm already enjoying this more, by the way, being fed the questions, because I don't know what I'm going to say and I'm entertaining myself. I don't know about you. My question is, a variation on desert island discs. You're being banished to a desert island and can take only one each of the following. What are you taking? Oh, this is going to be a good one. A horror film, The Exorcist. A horror franchise. I don't like horror franchises, unless I can count Hammer. I guess it was one of the first franchises. So yeah, Hammer movies. Hammer Frankenstein movies. I'm particularly fond of Hammer Frankenstein movies. An LP. Fuck off. How can you take one LP? I would just have to forego that one, or just take So Divided by Trail of Dead, because it still to this day doesn't get boring. It hasn't got a bit where it gets boring. It's very, very inventive. And I get into loads and loads of albums that I convinced myself that's the best album ever made. Because when I get into music, I properly fall in love hard with music. And it becomes an obsession and not an addiction. The difference between addiction and obsession is addictions tend to be bad for you. Obsessions can be good for you. So I get obsessed with music, but you've got to look at the stuff that you've played more. That's why I would choose The Exorcist over, say, Martyrs, which I think is as good as The Exorcist, but the jury's out on whether it's going to last as long in my estimation. So yeah, LP, probably Trail of the Dead, because I've probably played it more than any other album to date. A guitar, probably the one in the background actually, the Yamaha SG, which me and, incidentally, producer Phil found from Canada. That guitar has got a pretty cool story. It was found in Canada and it made its way from Canada to my house free of charge, because the armed forces brought it over. I think it left Canada to New York by the Navy. It got picked up in New York and taken to Europe by the Army. And I think the Air Force brought it from Europe to a gig in Britain. Something like that. But it's a guitar that I've always wanted. And they don't make them anymore, because that was when Japanese companies used to just rip off American companies before it went litigious. But it's a fucking amazing guitar. I used to watch Dave Meniketti when I used to go to see Y&T when they first started, and he used to play one. And producer Phil used to describe them as the best Les Paul you've ever played. And he wasn't wrong, because I've got a really good Les Paul and they're very, very similar. Difference is the Yamaha SG tunes better and is better performer in the studio. Don't try and get one. They're fucking rare as rock and roll shit and they cost a fortune. But if you have got a fortune and you don't mind waiting around, I can't recommend them highly enough. Probably the best guitar ever made. A book. Please Kill Me by Legs McNeil and Mark Shostrom, is it? But Legs McNeil, it's the story of kind of punk from a New Yorker's perspective. And I think it starts with the Doors or something, which I've got no interest. And it goes through Velvet Underground and then, MC5, Iggy and the Stooges, Alice Cooper, and then the actual trajectory of the punk spirit in music. And it's brilliant, but it's laid out in quotes. Now, I'm a sucker for quotes, so there's no narrative in the book apart from what people are talking about who were there at the time. So it's great to have facts corroborated by other people. So yeah, probably Please Kill Me. That was a fucking great question, Russell. The next one from Matt Evans is, if you pay an artist for an album single cover, do you get to keep the painting as part of the deal? You used to. When they fucking painted it on canvas. I've got loads of artwork of mine, the originals, but these days you can't because they do it on their fucking computers. And they're using paint, technically, and they're amazing artists, but there's no original. I think that's why that fucking, what's it called? NFTs. That lasted long, didn't it? That fucking was over in 5 minutes. What a ridiculous idea. Like the Napster thing, in keeping with that line of questioning, you could see the NFTs were a terrible idea, but everyone went, no, it's not. Same as Bitcoin. There's one now called Fartcoin, which I'm almost tempted to get involved in, but the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, is a fucking shit idea. Whatever it's going to do, it's still a shit idea, and people are justifiably losing a fortune in believing in it. I guess that's where NFTs came from, the fact that there is no original art anymore. I found out, to my, I fucking hate this word, chagrin, the only time you'll ever hear me say that fucking word, I found out that art doesn't sell. And if I sell a guitar, I know kind of the minimum it's going to make. I was blown away by how little artwork makes. So yeah, I stopped making artwork. Because it's pointless. I don't really enjoy doing it. I wanted to make a living out of it. I couldn't make a living out of selling art, but you probably can make a living at selling digital art, prints or whatever. So yeah, I don't get to keep the painting because there ain't no fucking painting no more. This is from Nicole Pykoff. Nicole Pykoff, what a fucking great name. Ginger, when will you be touring in the US again? It's been a long time. We miss you here. Oh man, I fucking really miss being in America. I miss my friends. I've got loads of friends in the States and I never get to see them anymore. I don't know, because it's so expensive to play in America. It's something like $7,000 for a visa. And that's not even the O2, O1 visa that I used to get, which used to let you stay and work for 3 years. And now it's just a travel visa. Visiting and then leaving, like i.e. a tour or some gigs, would cost you roughly $7,000. Who's got the money? It's almost like America were trying to keep international bands away from America by introducing visas this expensive. It was put to a Congress vote to bring the price down, and they shoved it out the door. So it's still really expensive to play there. I personally don't know how bands afford to play there. They must line up a bunch of gigs and literally lose money doing it. I can't really afford to lose money touring because I have to pay people, and it doesn't really work out. I used to have a political leanings that used to dictate that I didn't want to play America because of the politics. And now that I've gotten away from politics and I look at America, I find it quite entertaining. I don't hate Donald Trump anymore. Well, I don't hate anyone anymore. But I realise that Donald Trump is just another cunt. And they're all cunts. All of these fucking politicians, they're all cunts. Even the nice ones are probably cunts. But the ones that seem like cunts definitely are cunts. You know, I've a lot of realizations of the nature of power, and I won't go into that now, but if you ask me about what I think the nature of power is, why people are so greedy and what that's all about, then I will answer it. So woe betide you, because it'll fucking go down some weird rabbit holes. But I don't mind. In fact, I find Trump really entertaining now. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it doesn't matter if you like him or hate him. It's not going to change a thing. It's all about how it's making you feel. And it was making me feel terrible. Politics was making me fucking fall out with people. I fell out with my mother because of politics, because the whole fucking Gaza thing and the Tories and all the rest of it. It's like, it's all corrupt. But what you're being fed with politics is not what's going on. Politics are a distraction. There's something bigger going on, and we're easily distracted because we get our information from the media. That's how easily we are distracted. We don't do a lot of thinking, so it's important to keep us down, keep us in control by fear. Everyone these days, if you subscribe into the common ways of getting information, then you are automatically controlled by fear, because that's part of the narrative. That's what it's designed to do. So yeah, I would go to America and play tomorrow. I fucking really would. I love the place. I'm still gutted that we never got a chance to go over more often when you could afford to go, but we never had management who thought it was important. Fucking go figure. A lot of the reason why the Wildhearts didn't do well is because we had to end up with management people that didn't think that touring other countries was important. Apart from Japan, because you could make money. Gives you an idea of why most people were in this business in the first place. But thankfully, most of these people aren't working anymore because they had no love of the music. So younger managers kicked them out of the fucking way. And good riddance to the fucking lot of you. But yeah, I would go back to America tomorrow. I fucking would love to and hope to as well. But we got an American company now with the deal that we got with Snake Farm. And I'm hoping that they will put some tour support in to get us over there. So fingers crossed that it will fucking work. This one is by JR, who asks, as Ginger has indicated a few times on these podcasts, he hears, perceives new songs in his head, then distills or replicates that on acoustic guitar where the band can flesh that out. Very, very true. I speak the truth. With the distortion laden endless nameless, how did those songs sound in Ginger's head compared to what we hear? Fucking hell, exactly the same. My head was in a very strange place at the time. Not just drugs and alcohol, but there was a lot of drugs and alcohol around. But I was just in a place where I didn't have a clue who I was really. And I was in this stasis where the band was supposed to break up. And then we did a gig at the Astoria, and this record company said, do you want a record deal? And we're like, fucking hell, timing. Great. But that's why we ended up doing Endless Names, because this company said, we think you're great, we want to sign you. They didn't want to work with us after they heard the record that we made, but that's neither here nor there. My head was a mess. My head was an absolute mess. And I found the only way that I could cope with the part of the day that was finding the drugs and acquiring the alcohol. Once the drugs and the alcohol numbed everything, it didn't fucking matter. But I found the only music I could hear was noise, whether it was industrial dance, or just American weird noisy indie. And I remember I was just obsessed with dance music. I was listening to Ronnie Size and Fatboy Slim when he first started. Anything industrial. Ministry was fucking huge on the playlist. And things like Los Lobos, A Colossal Head, which is just this weird distorted record, and Flaming Lips, Clouds Taste Metallic. That was another one where none of the sounds reminded me of anything, and that's what I was always in. I just craved something new to do, and if the Wildhearts had broken up, I would have done something new, probably in dance, and you would have fucking probably hated it as much as you fucking hate Endless Nameless. But it was a noisy place to be. And even at the times when I was at my worst on drugs and alcohol, the music still came through. As disjointed and noisy as it was, the music still came through. And I think you've got to stay inspired, whatever inspires you. And I can't even remember what was inspiring me then. I probably used music as like a medicinal thing, or like a get out of all of this fucking reality. So it was still there. I was still getting these songs. And obviously we didn't run through that album acoustically, as you can imagine. But it still was just get what's in there out on there so it can get to you, and you can listen to it and offer your opinions. And I just love that album. Again, I've said this before, but when people complain about what's going on now, like, the first couple of singles that we put out from the Satanic Rites, before everyone heard the album and realised that it's actually really good and they like it, there was all of this, I fucking hate this, Wildhearts. The last one was it. And someone was saying, like, does it not bother you there's so many people complaining Wildhearts? And I'll be like, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to 1990, whatever it was, when Endless Nameless came out, and there was uproar. But I just couldn't have made a record that sounded traditional. Couldn't have done it. It was not what was going to get me out of my slump, my stasis. That's drugs and alcohol. They're not the problem. They're the solution. They numb the problem. I hadn't even begun to realise that at the time, so I didn't realise that there was a problem. I just thought life was shit. Even if I'd wanted to tackle the problem, man, I was in such a bad place, I couldn't have done it. Not living in Fulham in London. That was just chaos all of the time. Yeah, I was getting it all wrong, but I think it's important to make art that really represents where you are at the time and then just ditch it. As they say, art is never finished, merely abandoned. You ditch that fucking stuff and leave it up to other people to squabble about. I've always done that. I've always tried to make art of the moment, and that was definitely of the moment. But it also offers the dangerous position of having to go back and listen to something. And when you go back and listen to something, it's either, if I listen to my stuff that I've done in the past, it's either feels cringe, the person that I was, or at best and at worst, embarrassing. You don't always feel the benefit of how far you've come. You can just listen to something and it can just drag you down this fucking horrible fucking hole based on the fact that you used to be a bit more of a cunt than you are. That's the way it's supposed to do.